The shop bell chimed as the front door of Petals and Pistons swung open, heralding the arrival of yet another confused customer. A small brass budgie perched above the sign customarily chirped an auto-tuned welcome. Spur-wrangling and smell, the clink roses. Veronica V. Vortek, registered cyborg, horticulturist, and part-time karaoke champion, looked up from her workbench. A mess of copper wire stems poked out of her hair like springy antennae, and a pair of hydraulic pruning shears whirred where her left hand ought to have been. Several regulars swore they caught her plugging herself directly into the espresso machine for a caffeine reboot, though Veronica denied everything except the latte art. The newcomer, a lanky fellow in a business suit with the haunted eyes of someone who'd tried online dating, stepped cautiously among the displays. Each bouquet twinkled under the overhead fluorescence. Iron anemones, chrome chrysanthemums, and stainless steel sunflowers, arranged with the elegance of traditional ikebana. Soft clinks replaced rustling petals. A faint magnetic hum filled the air, as if the entire shop was gently vibrating to the key of Middle C. "Good morning," Veronica chirped, sliding across the floor on retractable wheel heels that popped from her boots. She stopped precisely 3 millimeters from the customer, resisting the urge to scan him for coupons. "How can I mechanize or maximize your day?" The man blinked. "I need flowers. For my girlfriend, something romantic?" His voice pitched upward, uncertain whether romance could be built from tensile alloys. "You've come to the right Cyberbloom boutique," Veronica assured him. She pressed a button behind her ear. Tiny gears whirred, and her left eyeball projected a blue holographic catalog somewhere near the potted tungsten tulips. "Soft-skinned roses wilt. My arrangements maintain structural integrity for centuries. Warranty not valid during supernova events. Tell me about your beloved." The man hesitated. "Her name is Diana. She's a physicist. Works with magnets. Loves bees." Veronica's internal processors pinged like slot machines hitting triple cherries. Possibility index 98% match. She beamed. "I have the perfect bouquet," she said, pirouetting to her workbench. A mechanical arm descended from the ceiling like a helpful octopus, handing her a toolbox labeled, "This end up, probably." Veronica's titanium fingernails clicked with excitement as she selected components. First came the stems, electroplated rods of rare earth magnets bent gracefully into S shapes. Next, petals of brushed aluminum, each laser-etched with fractal patterns that refracted light like a disco ball at a science fair. She accented the bouquet with nickel-plated leaves shaped into Mobius strips for infinite affection, then wove a ribbon of flexible graphene around the base. The pièce de résistance, nano-infused pollen pods the size of quinoa grains, vibrating gently at a frequency that only magnophilic bees could sense. Why those bees like magnets remained a mystery even to Deanna's colleagues. The leading theory was simply because they can. Within minutes, Veronica presented the bouquet, which pinged softly like distant sonar. It looked like a futuristic sculpture, equal parts botanical dream and spare parts drawer. The man's eyes widened. "That's actually beautiful." "Guaranteed to last longer than your relationship," Veronica declared cheerfully, then caught herself. "I mean last longer than traditional flowers. Warranty terms apply. Now, will that be credits, crypto, or interpretive dance?" He paid with a tap of his wristwatch wallet, thanked her profusely, and hurried out, bouquet cradled like an infant cyborg. Veronica hummed a jaunty tune from the soundtrack of Gardening with Galvanized Gladiators and resumed organizing bolt orchids. Outside, the city of New Botany buzzed quite literally. Magnet-loving bees, shimmering with metallic flecks, zipped between hover cars and street lamps, following subtle magnetic currents. They were harmless pollinators, save for their fascination with anything vaguely lodestone-ish. Several local bike racks looked like shag carpets of buzzing insects at rush hour. Veronica loved them. They reminded her of tiny drones with better dance moves. She didn't realize her latest bouquet would become the talk of the Hive Nor, that it would cause an escalating series of mishaps, culminating in a citywide bee-plosion. Figuratively, thank heavens. The next morning, Veronica entered her shop and screeched to a halt. Metallic petals littered the floor. Her display stands lay toppled. 1,000 miniature footprints like a child's drawing of bird tracks dotted the dust. "By the gears of geranium," she gasped. "Robbery, riot, temper tantrum of a toddler Terminator." She scanned the security footage. The night vision camera revealed a swarm of magnetophilic bees pirouetting through the front window's mail slot. Veronica had installed it for invoices but mostly received coupons for sprocket polish. The bees formed an organized marching band, each insect towing away pieces of her metal bouquets, occasionally bumping into each other like drunken bumper cars. By dawn, they'd turned her showroom into an avant-garde rendition of Switzerland after a cheese festival, full of holes. Veronica rubbed her temples. She enjoyed pollinator patronage, but not shoplifting. A tinny voice crackled from the budgie above the door. "Looks like we've got a BZZZT sticky situation." The automaton laughed at its own joke, coughed sparks, and rebooted. Veronica opened a comm channel to City Hall's Department of Urban Behavior. After 20 minutes of hold music that sounded suspiciously like kazoos underwater, a tired clerk answered. "Magnet bees again?" he sighed. "Yes, they've stripped my inventory," Veronica said. "They're like tiny enthusiastic blacksmiths. We'll add your complaint to the queue. Current estimated response time, 4 to 6 geological epochs." Veronica hung up. Clearly, municipal help was not forthcoming. She considered more drastic solutions: bee-proof shutters, anti-magnetic paint, a trained cat wearing a Faraday cage. Each option violated either ethical guidelines or the fire code. Her ocular HUD pinged, "Alert, incoming, customer." Ding. The bell announced Deanna the physicist herself, sporting safety goggles like fashionable tiaras and carrying the bouquet from yesterday, or what remained of it. Bare stems jutted from a ribbon chewed to confetti. A few bees clung stubbornly, refusing eviction. "Hi," Deanna said, shy and tired. "This sort of exploded." Veronica offered an apologetic beep. "Refund or repair?" "I don't want my boyfriend to know the bouquet got eaten before he proposes," Deanna whispered. "Could you fix it by tonight?" Veronica noticed a slight bulge in Deanna's coat pocket. Ring box shape detected. Her romance module squealed. "Absolutely." Veronica clasped Diana's hand, forgetting her hydraulics were set to firm handshake. Diana's fingers survive, but might audition for a jazz quartet later. "I'll create a new bouquet magnetic allure for the bees, but with anti-theft measures." Veronica rubbed her hands, producing a noise like maracas full of ball bearings. "Come back at 6. Diana left, bees hitchhiking on her ponytail. Veronica plodded. She needed a metallic bouquet irresistible to bees, yet impervious once gifted. She opened her design software, CAD Blossoms Deluxe, and sketched. Plan A. Coat petals in slick Teflon so bees slid off like toddlers on a freshly polished dance floor. Rejected bees might sue for whiplash. Plan B. Embed mini electromagnets that switch polarity every 10 seconds, confusing the insects until they rage quit. Possible side effect: bouquet could levitate into ceiling fans. Plan C. Integrate a programmable magnetic field responsive to Diana's heartbeat, keeping bees at a respectful distance once she held it. Romantic and practical, unless her heart raced, attracting bees like teenage fans at a boy band concert. She settled on a hybrid approach: electromagnets triggered by a proximity sensor keyed to Diana's voice saying, "Shoo, please." A courteous command for courteous bees. Veronica also added decoy lures, tiny pellets of iron filings flavored with pollen essence, to divert the insects. She'd scatter them in parks later so bees could party elsewhere. By mid-afternoon, Veronica was soldering the final petal when the budgie squawked. "Incoming order, customer!" The door burst open. A whirlpool of bees spun in, carrying a tiny scroll sealed with wax. They deposited it on the counter and hovered expectantly. Veronica raised an eyebrow at Servo. A diplomatic envoy? She unrolled the scroll. "We, the magnetophiles of Hive 42, politely request unlimited access to your bouquets. They are shiny, we like shiny. Refusal will result in passive-aggressive buzzing outside your window at 3 a.m. Signed, Queen Cubit. Veronica admired their penmanship, but couldn't comply. She doodled a response. "Dear Hive 42, Appreciate appreciation. Need stock for paying customers. Will negotiate. Please RSVP without stinging. Love, V. She attached the note to a steel washer and tossed it like a frisbee. The bees chased it out, humming with glee. Problem deferred. At 5:59 p.m., Veronica unveiled the upgraded bouquet. It gleamed with iridescent titanium petals and a rose gold lattice. Embedded LEDs pulsed gentle gradients like sunset on a motherboard. She tested the proximity sensor. Shoo, please. A soft boop, and the magnets reversed polarity, repelling a test drone shaped like a bee. Success. 6:00 p.m. sharp, Diana returned with her boyfriend Nathan, the man from yesterday who looked suspicious, as if he'd discovered Schrodinger's cat shredding his tax forms. Deanna anxiously eyed the new bouquet. Will it survive the night? Guaranteed, or my name isn't Veronica Valentina Vortex version 5, Veronica proclaimed. Which it is until an update. Nathan blinked. What? Never mind. Veronica handed over the arrangement with a flourish. Deanna mouthed, thank you, and the couple left, leaving Veronica to tidy her shop, humming the Bee Gees ironically. At 11 p.m., Veronica closed up. She'd scattered decoy iron pollen pellets in the nearby community garden, hoping bees would host a rave there instead of inside her shop. At midnight, her comm implant pinged an emergency notification. Footage from the park showed hundreds of magnet bees gyrating to the pulsing beat of a solar-powered Bluetooth speaker some teenager had forgotten. The insects formed swirling, glowing shapes above the flower beds, like living auroras. Good. They were busy. She returned to power DM mode. At 2 a.m., another ping. A private message from Diana, all caps, help, bees hijack proposal. Veronica's systems jolted awake. She called Diana via holo. The feed came through, shaky insect wings, clipping the phone mic. Diana and Nathan stood on a rooftop restaurant decked out with fairy lights, overlooking the city. Nathan, down on one knee, held the ring box. Around him swarmed a shimmering tornado of bees, each carrying a metallic petal stolen from the bouquet. The petals assembled midair into an accidental yet breathtaking floating sculpture that spelled, Marry Mimi, extra E courtesy of enthusiastic bees. In any other circumstance, it would be romantic. Unfortunately, the bees refused to relinquish the ring, which had an iron inlay. They'd perched on the diamond like tiny ushers guarding the VIP lounge. Nathan's expression ping-ponged between terror and awe. Diana kept murmuring, shoo, please, but the restaurant's ambient string quartet drowned her out, and the proximity sensor misfired under the chaotic lighting. I'm so sorry, Nathan, she cried. I just wanted metal flowers, Veronica assessed. She had to fix a proposal hijacked by magnet bees inside a fancy restaurant whose Yelp reviews already complained about too much airborne protein. She turbo-skated to the scene, a blur of LED sneakers and righteous indignation. Upon arrival, she spotted the sculpture overhead. Marry Me now included a crude smiley face. The bees had artistic ambition. Veronica pulled a small device from her belt, a handheld polarity reverser she'd been prototyping for gardening gloves. She calibrated it to the bouquet's frequency, took a deep breath, figuratively, her lungs were 40% ornamental, and shouted, Everybody, cover your cuticles! She activated the device. A low wub-wub thrummed through the air. The bees paused, mid-slight, confused yet vibing. The ring slipped from their collective grasp, plummeting toward a bowl of creme brulee. Veronica lunged, extended her hydraulic pruning shears, and snatched the ring with the grace of a cybernetic Venus flytrap. Gasps erupted. Someone applauded. The quartet switched to techno out of sheer panic. Bees, now disoriented, noticed the decoy pellets Veronica had sprinkled in her pockets. She tossed them upward like confetti. The insects whooshed after the treats, funneling skyward in a glittering column, eventually dissipating into the night. Silence fell, broken only by a chef cursing about ventilation cleaning. Nathan, still kneeling, blinked at the ring now balanced on Veronica's shears. Veronica delicately placed it in his palm and whispered, Proceed with the human ritual. He cleared his throat. Diana, will you marry me? Diana wiped tears and bee legs from her face. Yes, Obviously, yes, applause erupted from diners who had cleverly turned the fiasco into viral footage. Waiters passed complimentary hazelnut lattes courtesy of management. Please leave 5 stars. Veronica beamed. Another proposal saved, all in a Cyborg Florist's day. The next morning, Veronica opened Petals and Pistons to find a small delegation of bees at the doorframe, holding a note written on leaf metal foil. Thank you for the snacks. Sorry for the drama. We got excited. Can we collaborate on public art? We prefer Thursdays. Yours, Queen Cubit. Veronica considered. Collaborating with bees could revolutionize metal floristry, living mobiles, kinetic sculptures, pollinator-friendly city art, maybe even municipal grants. She typed a reply on an old typewriter because bees appreciated tactile aesthetics. Dear Queen Cubit, collaboration accepted. Thursday brunch? Bio-O, bring your own honey. Sincerely, VMO. She sent the note via drone shaped like a geranium. The bees escorted it away, buzzing a happy chord. Veronica turned the open sign with renewed optimism. She'd survived theft, city bureaucracy, and a hijacked engagement. Plus, she'd gained partners who could solder midair. As she rearranged a batch of cobalt carnations, Nathan and Diana entered, engaged glow in full force. We wanted to thank you, Nathan said. Also, we need centerpieces for the wedding. Theme, magnetic love. We can accommodate, Veronica said, pulling out design sketches already titled Attractive Nuptials. Perhaps bouquets that repel exes from crashing the ceremony? Diana laughed. And maybe a trellis the bees can decorate, without stealing the rings. Veronica winked. I'll put 'em on retainer. Bee-tainers, if you will. Groans ensued. Business boomed over the next weeks. Veronica's metallic bouquets became must-haves for tech conferences, robot graduations, and avant-garde funerals. Grandma would have wanted a stainless steel daisy cannon, one grandson insisted. She and High 42 introduced limited edition collabs, Buzz and Bloom mobiles, sculptures that hovered in city parks, constantly rearranged by bees to spelling uplifting messages like, "Have a nice day, Organ X." Tourists loved them. Pigeons filed noise complaints, but nobody listened. They were pigeons. One afternoon, Mayor Gearhart visited the shop. A lumbering android with a sash reading, "Re-elect Progress." He requested a giant metallic topiary for the city's bicentennial. An 18-foot-tall hybrid of a rose and a gear, symbolizing tradition and innovation, or possibly a working blender. Veronica accepted the commission with Hive 42 as co-artists. She ordered enough steel petal sheets to wallpaper the moon. As the project unfolded, Veronica juggled welding torches like fiery batons while bees delivered nano rivets with pinpoint accuracy. Crowds gathered daily, snapping selfies. A street vendor coined the snack burrito, honey-glazed burritos, cashing in on the spectacle. The unveiling ceremony drew thousands. The mayor cut a ribbon made of recycled charging cables. The sculpture's petals unfolded via servo motors, revealing an inner core that pulsated with light and subtle magnetism. Bees traced loops around it like synchronized swimmers in the air, forming geometric patterns that spelled, "We, less than 3 new botany." The crowd erupted. Local news hailed it as the most heartwarming collaboration between human, machine, and insects since someone accidentally taught ants to play Tetris. Veronica's shop received so many orders the server crashed, prompting her to install a quantum router, which the bees found quaint. In a televised interview, a reporter asked Veronica, "What's your secret?" She smiled, servo cheeks whirring. Flowers, even metallic ones, bring beings together. Humans, cyborgs, bees, whoever. Add humor, and even magnet mishaps become magnetic memories. The reporter blinked at the pun, but Twitter loved it. Magnetic Memories trended for a smooth 6 hours before being dethroned by a celebrity slurping noodles. That night, alone in her shop, Veronica toasted herself with a cup of premium motor oil latte. The budgie clock chimed midnight, announcing, "Another day, another bouquet." Indeed, because tomorrow someone would walk in needing something shiny to say, "I love you," and maybe a squad of magnet-loving bees would swoop by to say, "We love shiny," and under the humming fluorescent lights of petals and pistons, everything would click, literally, with tiny metallic snaps and the world would feel just a little more attractively absurd.